This is the Healthology Experts, where we talk about the art and science of health and longevity. I'm Dr. Traveler, and thank you for joining us. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by our Healthology Experts Weight Loss Accelerator Program. It's really 5 components, really quick, we'll go through. It's the contour light, it's a device that pumps energy into the body and helps you to just be healthier and lose inches. It's our peptides, so it's the semaglutide injections. It's the STIQ scan. It's the coaching for diet and exercise, and then coaching for lifestyle. And if you look at those things, it's like something to just make you overall more healthy, make you feel better, something to help you lose the weight that you've been struggling to lose. For many people, that's a challenge. Something to track your results and really track them really well. Something to change your habits, your eating and exercise habits, and then something to change and help you have a better mindset. Okay, so with those 5 things, our Healthology Expert Weight Loss Accelerator Program has been successful for helping so many people, and we hope that if that's a challenge for you, that it can help you as well. So brought to you by that, and enjoy the episode. Hey guys, want to welcome you back. Dr. Traveler. I am here today, very happy to have Rod Broadhead. Rod is a friend and a neighbor of mine, and I've been thinking for a long time, wanted to talk with him. He actually is, funny enough, he texted me after Porter. For those of you who saw the interview with Porter, Rod was Porter's teacher way back in the day.
18 years ago.
18 years ago, so I shot that over to Porter. So there's some links. I mean, we're in St. George is kind of a small town.
Pretty small
right?
town.
So
yeah.
Anyway, but Rod's now my neighbor. He's also a principal, and we're going to get into some of that. But let's get to know Rod a little bit, so those of you who don't know him can get an idea of who Rod Broadhead is. So Rod, why don't you tell us a little bit about like you and your family, the Cliff Notes version.
Okay. I'm almost 44, I think, in a week, and married to Amy.
Amy's awesome.
From good old Idaho.
There you go.
She came down here to go to school, and we met, and it just happened. A year later, so we got married. Now we've got 6 kids, and oldest is 19. He lives in California, and the youngest is 6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
Rod and Amy are brave.
We are very brave. And so I got 4 boys and 2 girls. The baby's a girl, and then 3 boys, a girl and a boy, and then the baby. And so yeah, we're really blessed, live in a good community. My ancestors settled this community, so this in Cedar City, so this is home for me, and now I'm a principal.
And now he's a principal. So that's
elementary principal.
He's a principal at elementary school, and we'll get into some of it. Rod's he's very active as well, and I always like when I talk with Rod. I like the way his brain works. He and I think a lot. Like, we listen to a lot of podcasts. We are always trying to figure out more knowledge, more trying to live the best life that we can. So
yeah,
we will we'll kind of get into that. But tell us a little bit about like your career, the what got you to the point, because you don't just jump in and become a principal.
No, you don't just jump in and become a principal. I thought I was going to frame houses for the rest of my life. My dad was a framer, and I thought that was the only way to live, because when you're in high school, framing houses with your shirt off, getting a tan,
that's right.
You think that's what life is all about, is that tan and muscles, and you're outdoors and you're working with your hands and you're building, and I still love building to this day. Then went on an LDS mission to Japan, and there it tweaked in my head a little bit. Maybe I don't want to do that forever. So I decided I wanted to work with struggling teenagers. That was my goal, is kids that have been through just really toxic environments that probably led to drug abuse, all that stuff. Maybe they've been through divorces, stuff like that. I guess my own personal life, as a kid, I'd gone through a couple divorces in my family, and I made it out okay, barely, because I had great parents. Despite the divorce, they're wonderful, amazing people, great grandparents, good role models. So somewhere on the mission, I said I want to work with troubled youth and came home, went down that path, psychology degree, and then my grandfather, which was a principal administrator for almost 30 years, he was actually my principal at Pineview High School. One day I lived with him when I came home from my mission, and we were out on the front porch doing what grandpas and grandsons do, talking about life, and he said, "What do you want to do?" And I was telling him, he's like, "Well, you should be an educator." And I said, "Oh, heavens no." No. And he said, "Everything you just explained to me was what a teacher gets to do, and then what a principal gets to do." And so he put that seed in there, and I let it sit there for maybe 6 months to a year, and then I decided, that's what I want to do. Thought I was going to be a high school teacher, and then I realized you can make I felt like I could have the most impact with young kids, help them before they get set in their ways. So that's what led me to elementary, and here we are, still in elementary, and it's
teacher,
good.
top porter, teacher for a little bit.
Yep, top porter 18 years ago. I only taught for 7 years, then I became an assistant principal for 3, and then I've been a principal for the last 7 years. So
yeah,
and it's been good.
And it's been good.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Rod's career in a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
And it's fun. Rod and I have we've been on some we worked with the youth in our church, and we've been on some long hikes.
Some great hikes.
And so great hikes, and when you're hiking, you get to talk, and so that is the Cliff Notes version. Rod's
I talk and talk.
He's full of stories. That was his biggest concern when I said, "Hey Rod, come on the podcast." He said, "I don't think we can get this done fast enough, but
it'll be a 5-hour podcast.
No, it's all
and
good.
You won't get a word in."
It's all good. So he's doing good so far.
So far, so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I talked to Rod about though is, so he recently became a principal of there's a new school in the area.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the sport and the shirt.
Oh yeah. Today's Friday, so we've got the shirt, the hat.
Casual. I'm casual Friday.
Casual
too.
Friday.
And but when I was talking with him, he kind of was talking about this link that he kind of discovered between physical and mental. And why don't you kind of give us a little a rundown of how you and well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Give us the rundown.
Yeah, I'll try and give you the Cliff Notes version. So, I found the link through a book called Spark. I believe it's called Spark, The Revolutionary Science Between Health and the Brain. I think it's just important to stay on top of our mental health in our professions. We're raising families, you're running a business, I'm running a school. We have lots of employees, tons of kids. And if you don't watch it, your mental health can struggle just because all the pressure and the demands. And I got to this point where I was like, I need to do something different so I can be better for my own wife and my own kids, and then I can be better for the teachers I work with and all the kids. And so I read this book, I came across this book, and it made the link that like when you exercise and your heart rate goes up and the blood's moving, it releases dopamine, right? Yep. Releases dopamine and it helps you feel better. And so I decided to give it a go, and what it did for me, just start running 3 times a week. And I talked to Justin a lot through this because we all know
I like to run.
He's a running machine, and so I've talked to him a lot through this, and it was the real deal. I noticed that when I was running, I was feeling better. Figured out what that runner's high means and what it's all about. So I just kept running. The side effect of it was that I lost a ton of weight. We're talking like, I'm not a big person, but I lost like 25, 30 pounds over a summer. And I thought, holy cow, because my mindset was like, if I'm gonna run, I'm gonna make sure I eat well. Like I'm not gonna waste that. And so everything just played into itself. Well, then I knew the district was open in this new school, and I said, man, what if we could make a link between movement in the classroom? Would that help learning? And so that's what we're kind of exploring right now. And we do dance at our school, which we might be the only school. We don't call it dance. The boys don't want to go to dance. We call it arts in motion.
There you go.
Where we do a lot of stuff, like she may do a lesson on a science, and they're learning it through movement. So we know there's a lot of links. When you move and you learn, it'll stick in the brain. So we do lunchtime laps, marathon stuff. I encourage my teachers a lot to have lots of mental breaks, and like where they may pull up something on YouTube where they do some dances in between lessons. And ultimately the end goal maybe is a lot of our lessons in the classroom actually involve movement. So when they're making all those movements, there's so much research behind if you move, it makes connections here, chemicals release, and kids remember. So that's the ultimate goal with it. We're taking baby steps, and so far so good.
Yeah, and I know it's tough. Rod and I have talked and how it's going. It's not as clear cut as like, hey, we want to do movement. There's so many moving parts
So many
to
variables,
school
yeah.
and variables. So, but you're taking those steps, and it sounds like you're seeing some really good successes. You know, I want to bring up a little point that hit me. I'm trying to I have some patients that dance, and you know, you've listened to some of the podcasts, and so you know it.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot about like longevity. So I know you're talking kids.
121, baby.
Live to 121, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting because I have these patients who are now, let's say they've got a good collection of birthdays. I always hate to call them older, but but they do dancing. A lot of them are females, and they want to go and they're dancing, and that's helping them a lot. And there's a lot of this research between them dancing and like cognitive.
Yeah.
So I think it goes beyond just the young kids.
Absolutely.
It can be for us as well. As you discovered for you, there's that link, right?
Huge link. And then there's just so much with the movement. Like our dance teacher, her name's Courtney Giles, the amount of research she has behind all of this is mind-boggling. Like I wish I knew just a little bit of what she knows, and it's the different type of movements, when you twist, when you turn, when you have cross-body things, like it all is combined, and it makes sense that it's all combined, but like at the beginning when you think about it, like, that can't all be true, but when you really dig in and learn it, it's like, okay, that makes sense, all this movement and twisting, and it all does things up here, which then translates into learning and better health and different chemicals releasing, and I'd love to study it more.
Yeah.
But I rely on her right now and her expertise, and that's why we hired her, because she came with a lot. I think she has a master's degree from the U in all of that dance in the brain, and so it's pretty cool stuff.
That's really awesome. Okay, so what other successes? I know you've had some. What is it? You guys were like running a certain distance. You guys did a lot of running too. What are some other
school?
Some of the, along with dancing. So we know dancing. What are some of the other
so
ways to implement activity in the school?
So they do 45-minute sessions with the dance teacher every other week, and then twice a week at lunchtime they're out running laps, trying to get a marathon within the school year. We have one of our fundraisers is a fun run, and then just teachers are really working on, it's not perfect, but some have gone a lot further, just incorporate, like if they're teaching a math lesson, how can we get up and move during the middle of that? Because when you're sitting, even us just sitting right here, our heart's slowed down, the blood's not pumping through the way it should, so we want that blood to be pumping through their brain. And so if they're just sitting for more than 15 minutes, they're going to slow down. So the goal is to try not to go more than 15 or 20 minutes with them just sitting. You want to get up and move and get the blood moving in, then let's sit back down and keep going. Or even better, if you can mix in that exercise while you're actually learning and just a break, that's even better. But it's baby steps with everything, and you've got to learn about it and learn specific strategies and skills. And some teachers are way ahead of others, and some are slowly creeping into it. And some haven't touched it as much, so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that different than, do they still have like PE? I know when we were there was PE. So there's PE on top of that.
Yeah, so PE is every Thursday for 45 minutes. I really wish we'd have PE like every single day. I think it would be great. I think, I don't know how many of the listeners remember No Child Left Behind from the early 2000s, which I think it was a great idea, but it put so much pressure on schools. One of the first things they cut out that we found out across the board through the nation is they cut out recesses, thinking we need to teach more, we've got to get every kid here. But you take out recesses, and like not just the physical but the social. Kids need to be out there talking. That's how they explore their world, is through the interaction on the playground, and they make friendships and they learn social skills, and so we make sure we're having 2 15-minute recesses, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, in addition to a 20-minute recess at lunch, and then PE 45 minutes a week. Arts and motion, we wish we could do it every week, but there's not enough time. So arts and motion is every other week for 45 minutes. We put a premium on the recesses. I don't want kids missing the recesses. They need to be out there playing, plus the sun, the vitamin D. It's just a total package, and it makes me sad when I hear of recesses getting taken away, because that's what kids need to play with each other. They need to talk and interact, and then they're gonna. Recess causes its own problems sometimes. You get some little drama at recess and some fights and stuff. Right. But that's also part of learning and growing.
They work that out.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. We got in a fight today. Let's talk about it. How did it happen? What can we teach you to keep that from happening again? And so we put a premium on that. And our goal is for every kid to get 10 hours of movement a week. We kind of provide about 6 or so of those hours in the school, and then they need to be involved with youth sports. We hope, we encourage. They just need to be out riding their bikes and running around with their friends. So the goal is 10 hours a week of movement per kid per week. Next year I plan to do a lot more, where maybe they're earning tickets and winning prizes for it, but the initial goal is that's what we're working for. But that's a work in progress too. So
I love that. And I mean, so many things running through my head again. I'm sure, have you heard about the Harvard study that they did years ago? It's like one of the longest running studies on
probably.
Yeah. So they took these guys way back when. Some of them are presidents of the United States, and they just track their health. Mm-hmm. And they've tracked them and their family, and they also pulled in. They wanted different demographics, so they pulled in kind of less affluent, because Harvard mm-hmm. students were pretty affluent.
Yeah.
So less affluent, more affluent, and they followed their families, and they're just trying to track what are some of the best things that they were doing. And it's, as you were talking, they talk about activity, but they talk about the relationships and the PE stuff. Anyway, that's a little bit of a sidetrack. But as you're talking, I'm just there's so many good things with just getting out and being active.
Yeah, and I think sometimes as a principal and teachers, we're always just thinking our job is to teach them how to read and do math and science. And while that's true, there's just such a bigger piece of it that social skills, you hope that happens in the home. You hope that's where they learn it. But part of our growing is just learning it outside the home, implementing what our parents have taught us. But some kids aren't learning that. And so that social part is huge. And so much of it happens at recess.
Yeah.
And there's negatives and positives, but we push that recess. We want them out there moving.
All right, Rod. So the next question then is, do you get recess? So what's your so now I want and that he didn't see this one coming.
Didn't see this one
so
coming.
So how would we implement this? Because I say I like to go to our school. I do our what we call Paw Patrol.
Yeah,
I go do that every Thursday. I go play with the kids at recess, and people are like, "Oh, that's so good of you," and I'm kind of like, who doesn't like recess?
Yeah,
it's
fun. Kickball.
Yeah,
Foursquare.
We played zombie tag on Thursday, and it's good. It's good for me, and I really enjoy it. So, for the listener out there who, again, hopefully if they're watching, listening, you're getting better with your physical activity. But and you kind of started out that you did it opposite. You started with yourself.
Yeah.
But how has that helped you kind of reinforce that with you and your family? Is there anything else that I know you're still, now you've got different activities that you're doing, right? With your lifting and
things. Yeah, well, you start running and that's good, but then you get nagging injuries because your body's not strong. And so talking to you and other people, like one of our neighbors, Bryce, has helped me a lot. Like now I'm lifting a lot, 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And that's helped because now when I run, I don't feel those nagging injuries, and so I like that. But when do I get my recess? I get my personal well, now I'm lifting with my son.
Good.
And he's stronger than me. My 14-year-old is stronger than me, and it's crazy, but I do that. But at the school, I need to do a lot more to get out there with the kids. Sometimes you get bogged down with everything. But last year in that marathon club, I would run every Tuesday, Thursday with them. So I'd run for a solid hour with them. And I was a sweaty mess at the end of it. I had to bring extra clothes. And this year it died off for me. And it's funny, I was talking to one of our moms, which I don't think you've met her, but you've worked on one of her friends. She trains ultra marathoners, but I was talking to her. I was like, because she comes and helps and scans kids. And I was like, I need to get out here running again next year. I got to get this going again, because I think kids see me and I'm running and they want to run, and I need to get more parents involved. So I need to get more recess. I need to play some more Foursquare.
Yeah.
Some more kickball, have some fun.
So we need to figure out a way. So that's going to be our mission.
So all you dads or moms, one thing I can tell you that kids love if you want your kid to feel amazing, just go eat lunch with them and then go play foursquare with them or kickball or tag. And you felt this, your kid feels like a superstar that day.
Yeah.
They feel like a superstar. So do that.
Yeah.
That is good stuff for kids.
Go start if you're thinking to yourself, how can I start being more active? You could go to lunch and go to recess.
We'll play a little foursquare.
And I think
speed.
Yeah, that's right. I've noticed that the teachers in the school they really appreciate that.
Yeah, they love it.
They like that, and yeah, it's funny how they just here. Okay, I don't want to throw guilt on anybody, right?
Go ahead.
Because it's not on you. I'm just saying whenever I go to the school, you know, and I'm sitting there eating lunch, getting ready to go play whatever we're gonna play for the day. And very regularly, a kid will come up to me and say, "Hey, when you see my dad, can you tell him to come to Pop?" It's like they think there's like this dad club out there, and the dads all kind of go and congregate. Now, I guess kind of we do, right?
We do
in some aspects of life. But it's funny because they're like, hey, tell my dad that I want him to come do Paw Patrol. We call it Paw Patrol at our school. And anyway, so I guess that's a good place to start. Go do recess.
And I need to take a break from my school and go to my kids' school and do the recess. And I even mentioned that to some of our teachers. I was like, I'm kind of a hypocrite asking all these parents to come do lunch with their kid. Well, I've got a kid in elementary. I should a few times, you know, a year or weekly. You do it weekly. I need to go do that with my son.
I think it's hard. Everybody's jobs are different. That's why I say.
But if we schedule it, we can make it happen.
You can.
Yeah.
A lot of parents will say like on their birthdays or something, they'll go. So there's some ideas.
Yeah, I heard a crazy thing at a school just yesterday for their dad's club, and were you running the one at our kids' school or?
No, they just wanted me to. They knew I did it, so I would like recruit.
Yeah, you were.
During
you were
back to school nights and things. I would be like the one to recruit them.
I saw this the other day. The PTA bought a Nintendo Switch, and every time a kid's dad came or mom, it's mostly dads though. They, dad patrol or whatever.
Yeah.
They'd get a raffle ticket to put in a thing, and then at the end of the year, some kid's gonna win a Nintendo Switch. So these kids are begging their dads, Dad,
come on.
It's like Hunger Games. Like, well, I don't want to go down that road, but the more tickets you get in, the better chance you're gonna get. Or you don't want to get chosen for Hunger Games, but the more. If you're a dad, and you come 20 times, there's a really good chance your kid's gonna win that Nintendo Switch. So the PTA figured out a good way to get the kids to beg their dads. I want that Switch.
That's genius.
So I was thinking, maybe I ought to talk to our PTA about that. Maybe we ought to do a Nintendo Switch next year.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, lots of good thoughts, good information. I like that link between the physical and the mental. Okay. Well, we didn't go too long. That was good.
Not bad. I don't even know how long we've gone.
Not too long, and it
probably perfect.
Feels like we've had a good conversation. All right, I just started implementing this. This is going to be my final question. You know how like a lot of podcasts will have the final question?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did this the last one. The final question is that even though I'm shooting for 121, I don't know, are you shooting for an age or just whenever? You're like, however long I go, just want to be healthy.
Yeah, my biggest thing is when I made this shift, 4 years ago, I think is when I really started running, but I was just like, I want to be 75 or 80 and still be able to go dominate a hike with my grandkids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like me and you've been talking about doing rim to rim. Like, that'd be great to be 75 and be like, let's do this. And one of my grandpas lived to 92, and we golfed together 3 months before he died.
There we go.
I mean, he physically could have done it, but his heart, his pacemaker was going out. So, but he golfed almost till the day he died, and that's what I want to do. Like, he only died because his pacemaker went out, and he rejected a new one. He's like, the surgery's not worth it, and that's where I want to be. And then my other grandpa's 89, and now he's really struggling with dementia, and so I'm also looking at all these links between inflammation and sugar feeds that dementia. So if that's inaccurate,
no, that's right.
And so I'm really putting a lot of work I struggled the last couple months. I stopped running because I got these nagging injuries.
Yeah.
And then I started eating crappy.
Yeah.
So now I'm getting back into it. So my goal is I just want to hike and be active with my kids and my grandkids and my great grandkids as long as possible. If that's 100, that would be amazing.
Well, that's leading into the final. So I was just
that wasn't the final
question? That wasn't the final question. I love
shoot.
that though. Maybe I should switch that to the final question about how long you want to live.
Yeah, 121, man.
But the question is, at some point, I don't know when that's going to be. Hopefully it's a long time. I always say I want to die young at an old age.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so
I
die
like
young
that.
at an old age. But at some point, life will end.
Yeah.
What are you hoping? What's the impact? Like when it's the impact question. What are you hoping? And I know that's a big, deep question just to end with.
Yeah, that is deep. I didn't know you were going to end that.
Yeah, so what is something that you hope that you can leave behind, the legacy of Rod Broadhead, physically, mentally, spiritually? And again,
that is deep.
It could go on forever. Just off the top of your head, you're thinking, man.
I think, I do think about the physical and the mental and everything. I just hope all my kids are great people. Like, I just hope they're kind. I try and be really kind. I mean, I have parents that are the kindest people I know, so I have good examples of my grandparents, but I hope my kids stay in shape and eat well so they can have a good life, but I just hope they're good, kind people. Whatever avenue, whatever road they go down. I mean, you've talked about our kids and their roads they're on. I just want them to be good. I just want them to treat people good. So I hope my example of treating people well, I hope that's my legacy, that Rod treated people well, and I hope my kids do the same thing, I guess.
I love it.
That's what came to my head first.
It
wasn't running.
It does. It's all on balance. I think that's a perfect answer. And I would say, Rod, so far mission accomplished.
I'm trying.
I hope you go for another 50, 60, 70, who knows how many more years.
Maybe.
But if something were to happen, I could definitely say that mission is accomplished so far. So
Sweet.
Good job. Anyway, I've loved the conversation, and I think this is going to help a lot of people. Just get them thinking about, whether you have kids, grandkids, encourage them, but also to help us, help the adults, to figure out what our recess is. What is our recess? Okay,
I got to do that.
All right. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. This is Dr. Traveler and Rod Broadhead, and we are signing out. See you
Thanks.
guys. All right, thanks for listening today. Hey, if you could please go on, like, subscribe, make a comment, go on to all the other social media. Go on to Facebook, Instagram, go on to TikTok, search for Healthology Experts. It really helps us to grow and push this message. And if you gain value from this, then go on and please participate. We try to get to all of the questions or anything that you have, any responses or comments. So go, like, subscribe, do all the stuff that helps us. All right, guys, see ya.